Picture a giant desert tent. A man in dusty robes steps inside, holding two objects, a curved sword in his right hand and a small bound book in his left. Pause the image. 1,000 memes claim Islam spread by the sword and the Qur'an. But look closer. Devout Muslims never touch the Qur'an with the left hand, the hand used for, let's say, less than clean tasks. First hook. Did the cliché ever make sense? Today we chase the real story of how this book, revered, feared, praised, mocked, actually arrived in human hands, and why the answers still make scholars quarrel. Slide to the modern world. A Qur'an rests on a shelf. Ask an owner to pull it down. Watch them kiss the cover. Maybe put on fresh clothes first. How does a text earn ritual status like the Ark of the Covenant or the Bhagavad Gita? French Orientalist Guillaume once called the Qur'an a holy of holies. Yet turn westward a moment. Edward Gibbon glanced at the Arabic and shrugged. An incoherent rhapsody of fable? Thomas Carlyle rolled his eyes. Insupportable stupidity. German scholar Salomon Reinach ridiculed declamation, repetition, puerility, a lack of logic. Millions revere, some elite minds recoil. Are we staring at divine artistry or a clumsy patchwork nobody dares edit? To find out, we need laboratory goggles, not prayer beads. We must separate theology from history, belief from data. And here comes another shock. Critical study of the Qur'an is a toddler compared with Bible scholarship. Arthur Jeffery complained in 1937 that the field was still in diapers. In 1977, John Wansbrough said biblical tools, source criticism, form criticism, had barely touched Islam's scripture. In 1990, Andrew Rippin admitted his students, trained on the Hebrew Bible, gawk at Islamic textbooks and ask, where's the hard analysis? Why has a text read by 2 billion people escaped the X-ray machines applied to every other ancient scripture? Let's put the 4 big questions on the whiteboard. Number 1, transmission. How did the Qur'an travel from Muhammad's mouth to our hands? Number 2, dating. When were its words first written and by whom? Number 3, sources. Where did its stories, Joseph's dream, Noah's flood, Alexander-type legends actually originate? Number 4, authenticity. With no authorized version frozen in time, can we call any one Arabic text the Qur'an? Keep those questions glowing in neon while we dive into, yes, traditional tales. Scholars still use them because, frankly, we have little else. But watch the plot tangle faster than cable television drama. Traditional Scene 1. The Prophet dies year 632. Common Era. Followers panic. New converts who memorize verses are dying in battle. Chunks of revelation might vanish forever. Enter Caliph Abu Bakr. His aide Umar begs, we must compile the Qur'an before memory fades. A former secretary named Zayd ibn Thabit hunts for text on papyrus scraps, camel bones, leather, smooth stones, plus the hearts of men. He assembles leaves called suhuf, hands the bundle to Abu Bakr. It passes to Caliph Umar, then to Umar's daughter Hafsa. If this codex existed, why did nobody call it official? Why did it sit like private property on Hafsa's shelf? Scholars suspect politics. Was the story invented later to steal credit from an unpopular third caliph? Or to push the canon closer to Muhammad's lifetime? Traditional Scene 2. 20 years later. Caliph Uthmān hears soldiers arguing over dialects while reciting during campaign. Fearing a fractured scripture, he appoints, wait for it, the same Zayd plus 3 Meccan elite to create a master copy, checking against Hafsa's leaves, following Quraysh pronunciation. New copies shipped to Kufa, Basra, Damascus, maybe Mecca, all rivals forcibly burned. Every edition torched except the official, Sounds tidy, but real history hates tidy. Which dialect did they pick when modern Quranic Arabic is no single dialect at all? Why do witness lists include enemies of ʿUthmān and even a man dead before the project? Why does Phase 2 ignore Zayed's alleged Phase 1 role? Charles Adams, a respected academic, lists these puzzles, then simply declares, despite the difficulties, the codex under ʿUthmān is important. Pause. Where's the proof? If skepticism topples Abu Bakr's compilation, why award a free pass to ʿUthmān's? Both narratives come from late sources, centuries after events. Is faith in the story stronger than evidence? You might wonder, why not pick whichever tale feels right and move on? Because deeper issues lurk. What were those floating Qur'ans in Syria and Iraq? Who copied them? If Hafsa's leaves trace back to Abu Bakr, how did she acquire fakes? Critical scholars warn, treat all early compilation sagas as political fiction until independent data surfaces. But independent data is rare. And now the biggest elephant? Memory. Orthodox tradition says Muhammad, an illiterate man, memorized hour-long recitations flawlessly. The 111-verse tale of Joseph, for example, and companions later quoted him verbatim. Could even one scholar pass that test without a voice recorder? Oral cultures do preserve epics, yes, but details drift, phrases shorten. Oral historians admit perfect verbatim is myth. Imagine you're a companion in 632. Battle noise, dust, no notebooks. The prophet utters a new passage under emotional strain. Do you hear every consonant, or do you paraphrase hours later? The notion that early Muslims own unlimited mental RAM has inflated over centuries because the canon requires it. Still not skeptical? Ask why the Qur'an itself repeats stories with variant details. Creation in 6 days here, 2 + 4 + 2 days there. Pharaoh threatens to crucify magicians in 2 chapters, then threatens disbelievers in another. Different accounts, same messenger. Either the prophet varied wording over years, or early transmitters merged multiple drafts. Can a changeless heavenly book show seams? Critical scholars like Wansbrough flip the telescope. They see the Qur'an not as a single lifetime's diary, but as a community scrapbook, compiled perhaps a century later in Iraq, reflecting legal debates with Jews and Christians. Under that model, Abu Bakr edition and ʿUthmān edition are retro inventions to anchor a fluid text in heroic memory. Before you reject the theory, note parallels. The Mishnah of Judaism grew oral, then written. Christian Gospels fuse multiple sayings a long time after Jesus. Why should Islam escape that pattern? Does acknowledging human hands in holy texts necessarily kill their sacredness, or simply redefine inspiration? Let's test memory with a practical exercise. Close your eyes and recite Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. Exact words, every line break. Hard? King spoke 58 years ago, recorded on film, study worldwide. Now imagine storing thousands of Arabic lines in desert heat without pen or tape. Doesn't common sense demand some textual drift? Yet modern Muslims show fierce confidence. Qur'an competitions pack stadiums where children recite the entire book from heart, judged on pitch and vowel length. Authorities cite this as proof the text never changed. But does modern standardization tell us anything about 7th century fluidity? After all, once ʿUthmān, or later scribes, froze a version, copying became drill sergeant strict. Stability after fixation doesn't prove purity before. We still owe answers to those 4 neon questions, so let's see where evidence stands. Transmission. Earliest physical fragments, Topkapi, Sanaa palimpsest, date from decades after Muhammad. Sanaa's lower text differs from standard reading, hinting at editing. Dating, The perfect Uthmanic codex no longer exists for carbon dating. Claims rely on tradition, not lab assays. Sources: many Quranic tales match Jewish midrash, apocrypha, Syriac Christian hymns available in Arabia. Even moral codes mirror Talmudic laws. Borrowing, inspired overlap, decide. Authenticity: no manuscript across Islamic lands precisely matches another down to consonant dots until 9th century vowel marking. Variants survive in early tafsir commentaries, though later reciters restricted canon to 7 or 10 readings. At this point, your mind might race. If critical tools poke holes, why does belief flourish untouched? Because religion isn't just about data, it is community, identity, transcendence. Many believers frankly accept miracles over method. They trust angelic tape recorders. Scholars, by job description, distrust. So if the Quran's assembly stories are contradictory, should historians scrap them all or salvage kernels? If human memory can falter, did God intervene to guarantee perfection? And if so, why allow scribal arguments at all? If the Quran quotes earlier scriptures, does that strengthen continuity of revelation or expose creative recycling? Whichever way you lean, here's one certainty: critical study will grow. When Arthur Jeffery called the field infant, he begged for fearless curiosity. Half a century later, curiosity has only sharpened. Digital scans, carbon labs, crowdsourced codicology break open manuscripts once locked in mosque basements. Sooner or later, a pre-standard fragment could rewrite the dating game. Question to you: will new findings shake faith or refine it? Zoom back to our opening image. The warrior lowers his sword, opens the little book, right hand only, and recites softly. Legend says Gabriel dictated each syllable. Skeptics say tribes redacted over time. But beneath debate lies a shared human impulse to frame ultimate meaning in words, then guard those words like endangered fire. If this journey sparked new questions in you, hit like, subscribe, share. Next episode, we test whether earliest Quran fragments hide erased lines, literally scraped off parchment. History is a palimpsest. Truth appears when the old ink resurfaces. Stay curious.